Good afternoon. So we'll start our psychology class. We are covering the whole psychology in 45 days through an approach of PTQ, preparation through questions. What we have done is we have divided our syllabus according to different blocks. In one block, there is a grouping of chapters from paper 1 and paper 2 both. Then within those chapters, there are various topics. According to the topics, we are going through the previous year question papers of last 20 years, and we have seen that the major themes which are getting repeated that we are covering. Apart from that, we are also covering certain other things which are incidental to the topics. Okay, so we have covered a lot many things in our introduction chapter introduction, which is there in the block 1. Those of you who have gone through my earlier lecture will understand what I am talking about when I say blocks, different blocks according to the division given by me. So in the introduction chapter we have discussed few aspects. Now we will cover the recent trends, another aspect which is the recent trends. Recent trends in psychology. A repeated theme on which most of the questions are asked. So, first of all, let us understand the major perspectives in psychology. We have done it earlier, but we'll just go through it in brief again so that it remains in your mind. See, the major criteria or major idea of success is going through the important aspects again and again. Firstly, you have to catch the essence of the important aspects. Secondly, you have to go through it again and again. Keep your practice rigorous, intense, innovate whenever required, and you will succeed in the examination. A smart way of preparation rather than just being lost in the plethora of the material. This is our idea. Okay, so we'll see the major perspectives. So the major perspectives are major perspectives in psychology starts with one is your biological. You know what does biological perspective mean? Biological perspective means actually understanding the human behavior and mental processes through the lens of biology. That is, the focus is on biological processes, biological basis of human behavior. And mental process are established. So, what is the connection between biology and behavior? Biology primarily concerns itself with two aspects, the genes, then the hormones, which is of prime concern when we talk about psychology. Genes and hormone, or the effect of genes and hormones on behavior, or to simplify it, the effects on behavior of brain. BB approach. Big Boss, just remember it through Big Boss. Big Boss, BB, B for brain, B for behavior. And when we talk about brain, what comes to your mind? The one thing, one perspective, one idea which we have studied during the evolution of psychology was your mind body approach. We have studied it. Descartes, Descartes, Descartes was talking about mind body interactionism and dualism. Mind and body interact through pineal gland. Mind and body separate as separate entities, dualism. Yes, so these are the things which we study in a mind body approach. The same approach is being repeated in the biological basis of human behavior. When we talk about biological basis, basically we are talking about genes, we are talking about the hormones, and when we talk about biology, when we talk about the biological basis of human behavior, we are talking about the effect of brain on your body. As simple as that. Effect of brain on the body. That is under study. And how do we study it? The process of study is your neuroimaging techniques. What is under study here? Neurons. Neurons are the most basic element through which the signals in our body get transferred. Signals in our body get transferred from one place to another, basically from your glands. To various areas of the body, various parts of the body through the neurons. Neurons carry the message. Neurons, they carry the message from glands, from brain to the body, and that is why various parts of the body function, and accordingly we define our behavior. This is the biological basis. Biological basis is useful from our perspective because there are various things like alcoholism. See its use. Is there a difference between the mental makeup, or rather we say brain image, or the structure of the brain of an alcoholic or a normal person? Yes. Just see this. Korsakoff syndrome. Look at this in your dictionary, or just Google it, or you can take use of ChatGPT also. Korsakoff syndrome. Why I'm telling you to go and Google this, because this is how your curiosity about the subject will increase. If I keep on telling you each and everything, your curiosity will not increase. You must generate a curiosity as far as optional is concerned. So look at this Korsakoff syndrome. Alcoholics have a biological basis. Likewise, many other aspects, for many other, when we study emotion, we have to study the biological basis of emotion. When we study motivation, we have to study the motivation's biological basis. Which emotion is dominated by left half of the brain, left hemisphere of the brain? And right hemisphere. which types of emotion dominate each part of the brain, that we'll study. What is the biological basis of motivation? Because motivation is primarily concerned with the change of the drive, change of your physical drive, physical state. Because see, when you are motivated, if somebody measures this galvanic skin response, GSR, you might have seen that when a person who remains highly motivated, highly energized, you look at their normal body temperature, you'll find that their hands are generally warm. Why? Because of the blood circulation. And why this blood circulation is high? Because of that motivation, because of the physical arousal. State of arousal defines the motivation. So state of arousal is driven by the biology. Emotion has a biological basis, motivation has a biological basis. Even intelligence, look at the brain structure of somebody who has an IQ of 140 plus. Brain structure, I'm just talking about the structure, not the function. Brain structure of a person having IQ of 140 plus, gifted person, is much more different. Or in fact, if you look at the criminal behavior and you study the criminal behavior, you'll realize that the sociopaths and psychopath they all have an altogether different brain structure. Among these, in between sociopath and psychopath, psychopaths have a more of a genetic inclination. Their brain structure defines their behavioral outcomes because they are emotionally cold. Psychopaths, who are psychopath? Manipulative and emotional callousness. They are so detached with their emotions that they may commit a crime, murder, and they may remain completely detached from it. Their state of arousal is maintained. If there is an high drive activity, like something which arouses you, something where your arousal state is very high, like what you like cricket, last ball of the over, last ball of the game, and 6 runs are needed. Virat Kohli is batting. Look at your state of arousal. Your state of arousal will be really high. But if you look at the psychopaths, their arousal graph goes like this. Whether it is cricket, whether it is murder, or they are very sad, or what, their state of arousal is like this. Maintained. You know why? What's the reason? The reason is that their brain structure is such which does not allow any extensive, accentuated arousal. You might have seen there are people with an emotionless face. cannot judge whether this person is happy or sad or what. Their face remains the same. They don't give any signal whether they are happy with your response. When you are being interviewed by them, they will not show any emotions. The biological basis. This is biological perspective. Then we have already seen other perspectives. We are quite aware of it. Behavioral, then your cognitive focusing about the mental process, behavioral focusing about the environmental determinants. Then what caused this? Like there is a theory of motivation by Lazarus, which says that your physical state of arousal is like this. Physical state of arousal, you get aroused by a particular situation, but then you look for the cause outside in the environment because you are unable to label it. So the emotional labeling is provided by the outside environment. There may be a case that you are quite scared, or there may be a case that you are very excited, happy, because you saw somebody whom you adore a lot, your favorite movie star, walking down the path where you are going on the same road. Or you are completely scared because suddenly a truck came in your way, speeding truck. The same arousal, but labeling is different. What kind of emotion you will go through will be decided by the labeling you do. What kind of labeling you do? You may do a happy labeling or a sad labeling, depending upon your who or what is available in the environment. Okay, cognitive. After behavioral and cognitive, psychodynamic, peeping into the unconscious, uncon. Everything is decided by our unconscious motives and, as Sigmund Freud says, early childhood experiences. This is one perspective. Most of this we have already dealt, that's why I am just briefing it. Then comes your humanistic perspective. Humanistic perspective says that we are born with an innate tendency to achieve self-actualization. We are not driven by any kind of psychic, biological or environmental determinism, but we are driven by actualizing tendencies, innate potentialities, and free will. Will is there, free will. I know who I am, I do what I do. Then another perspective which we have not dealt in our classes, although you might be knowing this one, socio-cultural. Socio-cultural perspective. Biological we had not dealt, so we dealt in brief. Socio-cultural, the societal norms of the society, societal norms, the cultural norms, they decide your behavior or they shape your behavior. Quite simple. A person born in an aggressive culture, like see, Japan is there, China is there. Now, the kind of culture there is, for surviving also they need to be much more aggressive than a peace-loving country. So their gestures, language, norms are all aggressive. And if you look at their food habits, you realize that they eat everything, anything and everything. Food habits, food, that's also part of culture. Societal norms and culture, that shapes your behavior. So socio-cultural perspective looks at human behavior and mental processes also according to the societal norms and cultural values. This is one perspective, briefly speaking, and this is enough since you have already understood about this. It's a brief concept, understood, give real life examples, move on. Then comes one more perspective which we have not dealt in the earlier class, was evolutionary perspective. Evolutionary. Evolutionary perspective says that how we have evolved and adapted. Evolution and adaptation. How we have evolved and how we have adapted is the focus of study. Evolutionary psychology also, evolutionary perspective also defines your behavior, but according to their own schema of things. How? Evolutionary psychology will say, for example, I'm just telling you, why most of the people nowadays are suffering from this lifestyle disease. Like diabetes, like BP, blood pressure. Evolutionary psychology will say when we were evolving like a human being, what we used to do? Most of the human beings used to live in a forest. Initially, they were doing hunting and gathering. So they are made to, their muscles, their overall psychophysical approach is to work hard as far as physical aspects are concerned, to toil, to sweat. But now what is happening? Nowadays we have a sedentary lifestyle. Our lifestyle is quite sedentary. What is sedentary? We don't work out. We are sitting at home, sitting on the chair, doing something which does not involve regular physical movement. Like for a teacher also, taking the classes, that offline or online, not supposed to do so much of rigorous hard work unless you are doing your physical exercise apart from this work, which should be there for each and everyone. For each and everyone, it is mandatory. Depending upon where you stay, depending upon where you, what you can access, even if you can access the facility of going to the park, initial 45 minutes, 60 minutes, even 90 minutes initially when you get up, go out in the park. 90 minutes just strolling, or minimum 45 minutes strolling in the park, brisk walk. It will solve many of your problems. It will also regulate your hormonal issues. So sedentary issues, sedentary lifestyle. Because of that, the glucose which was being consumed earlier, consumption, declines, and the blood is gathering lots of glucose. Because of that, diabetes, blood sugar issues, because our body is made to work a lot, like the basic design of the body is to work. So human evolution defines your human evolution defines many other things like decision making. If you look at the decision making aspects of compare the genetic aspects of decision making, you will realize that decision making, male, female, you'll realize that the female decision making is largely people oriented. Largely. It's not that everyone is like that, but largely, if you just compare the averages, male oriented, task oriented. Their leadership styles are also different. This we'll study in the organizational behavior paper 2, but evolutionary psychology explains it. How we have evolved. Evolutionary psychology explains many other aspects. Fine. So this is one perspective, evolutionary psychology. Then comes your major idea. What all we have discussed right now, we, apart from what all perspectives we have dealt earlier, biological and evolutionary, these are the two major perspectives which we have added, biological and evolutionary. These are the two perspectives which we have added. We will do the recent trends, what perspectives and what themes are actually what themes are defining us, what ideas are defining us, recent trends in psychology or recent perspectives in psychology. Before jumping to the recent trends, let us see our mainstream psychology. This is one another theme. This is being asked in the questions. Mainstream versus social constructionism. This is one question. It has been asked in various other formats in different years, sometimes as a 10 marker, 10-15 marker, sometimes as a 20 marker. What is this social constructionism and how it is different from the mainstream psychology? See, what does mainstream psychology suggest? We'll understand the mainstream psychology versus social constructionism approach. Mainstream psychology says that a behavior is a combination of personality factors and environmental factors, or heredity on environment. This is H is heredity. So they are considering this personality and heredity factors as stable. So there are certain factors which are stable, and what is changing is the dynamic aspect of environment in the mainstream psychology. Just focus on the understanding. But what the social constructionism suggests? Social constructionism suggests that even this part is not stable. That is, it is dependent upon, firstly, it is individual centric. For every individual, these factors are different. We cannot have universal personality types. individual centric. And even this personality and heredity factor, P and H factors, P and H, what are they? Personality, even they are defined by the social attitude, belief, opinion and values. Social values shape them. Social values. So what is shaping even the personality factors, even the stable factors? Social values and norms. This is the main concern of social constructionism. This is the main objection of social constructionism against the mainstream psychology. One thing. Secondly, as we talked about, mainstream psychology focuses on universal laws. But if we look about the social constructionism, it focuses upon the idiosyncratic approach. What is idiosyncratic? Individualistic approach. They are not looking at generalizing things. They are looking at the diversity in the human gene pool itself. Every human being is different, so we cannot theorize. This is their perception. Social constructionism. What it says? Idiosyncratic. Idiosyncrasies. Individual centric. No generalization. We are looking at as diverse opinions, as diverse beliefs, as diverse attitudes as possible. No look for universal laws or generalization. Against the mainstream concepts of psychology. What psychology was looking for? What? Prediction and control. Here no prediction and control required. The social constructionism says no, it cannot be predicted, it cannot be controlled because every individual is different and their opinion, attitude, belief, the whole personality, even the stable factors are shaped by the social norms and values. Then comes your another difference between mainstream and social constructionism. What is the difference? Here, mainstream psychology focuses on quantitative, positivist, scientific approach. Scientific, and when we say scientific approach, what does it mean? Quantitative. Quantitative, that is lab based experiments. Generally lab based experiments, they are focusing on IQ, how much deviation IQ, how many standard deviation you are away from the average IQ, mean IQ. But here what is the approach? Social constructionism. It's not scientific approach, it's not quantitative approach, the approach is qualitative. And when we say qualitative, it is generally, it means what? Subjective. What is the meaning of qualitative? Qualitative like questionnaire, survey, case study, where your attitude is being checked, where your belief is being checked, where your value system is being evaluated. So what it will be leading to? It will be leading to qualitative approach. It will be giving you lots of data, of course, data in form of what opinions do you subscribe to, which religion do you like the most, that kind of questions will be there. Okay, so but largely if you see overall psychology, that non-experimental research and quasi-experimental research, QER and NER, that dominates psychology, and many of the methods or tools of data collection are based on this survey, questionnaire, case study, these methods, tools of data collection, qualitative. It is there. So social constructionism is not so far from psychology, mainstream psychology. It counters mainstream psychology. When we say mainstream psychology, it is quantitative psychology. It is a psychology or that department of psychology which focuses on the theorization, universal laws, does not give much respect to the individual differences and says that there are stable factors, personality or heredity, and dynamic factors, environmental determinism like E. Whereas social constructionism says that no factor is stable here. Everything is dynamic and being shaped by the shaping is being done by the social belief system. Social constructionism. These are the main factors, the main ideas which separate social constructionism from the mainstream psychology. If you have got the idea, if you have got the concept, you'll be able to write the answer really, really well. Okay. Then we go to our recent trends. After understanding all these things, then we'll move to the recent trends. What are the recent trends in psychology? I'll give you the recent themes in psychology. Rather than just giving the perspectives, I'll give you the recent themes. And through this, you will be able to generate lot many other content. Okay, so what are the recent themes or recent trends? First and foremost, the most important, most useful, and in fact the most beautiful, if we talk about the current generation, nothing more than AI, artificial intelligence. It is dominating the humanity right now. It is dominating each and every discipline, and remember, the future is AI. When we say AI, what does it mean? When machines, that computer based algorithm, when computer based algorithms are dominating, or when computer based algorithms are defining, describing, and deciding human cognition. And what comes under human cognition? Intelligence, decision making, thinking, problem solving, everything which is inherent in the mental process is a part of cognition as well. Computer based, when computers are trying to imitate, replicate the human beings as far as cognitive aspects are concerned, and nowadays even the emotional aspects. Have you seen the chat GPT showing emotions? Yes, even if that shows emotions. Even chat GPT is emotional as far as the universal laws of emotions are concerned. Like when we study emotions, we'll realize that there are certain universal facial expressions. Even the facial characteristics, when we study the attractiveness and beauty of human beings, whom do you find attractive is dependent upon your perception, how your socialization has taken place, your own mental structure, your own idiosyncratic or individualistic approach towards attraction, that differs. But largely speaking, there are certain facial features which are universally accepted, liked by each and everyone across the world. There are certain things which are defined. So likewise, if the universal basis, if we talk about the universal emotional expressions, universal emotional expressions, they can be replicated by AI, even chat GPT. But what about those situations where you are supposed to innovate, even in the emotional dynamism when you are supposed to innovate there, the chat gpt or AI, artificial intelligence, because it is based on what? Data bank. You see the chat gpt, bard and all this, it is based on 2021 data. So if you ask them a question based on mental disorders or your DSM, diagnostics and statistical manual, DSM, so that previous DSM which was there, DSM 4, it will give you the idea based on DSM 4. The current DSM they will not be able to integrate because that data is not there in the data bank. This is AI, the perspective of your artificial intelligence. But the basic idea why artificial intelligence is being used and how psychology is getting used to it and how psychology is going to be better after using AI, the main idea, the main theme is your psychological well-being. The problem is that we are not using the technology like AI and many other technologies for our benefit, for the betterment of our human life. We are actually utilizing most of these technologies so that the effort which could have made us happy, that decreases, and once that effort decreases, our cortisol, the stress hormone, cortisol, that increases. Like after getting up in the morning, the first thing you do is looking at your phone. In the phone, what is there? Blue light. Whatever phone you use, the Apple phone or Android, anyone, howsoever comfy you can make it, but still it is not easy on your eyes. And not only that, that you get used to that screen so much that you don't even want a human being. You are so used to your movies, the photos, pictures which are there on Instagram and all, because you have forgotten that there is something which is there in the real life. See, real life human beings, they are not so perfect as they are on Instagram. On Instagram, what you see? Insta, the skin which is glossy, the person who is perfect, the videos are so well crafted. In the real life, what happens? You will find people with lots of imperfection. When you interact with somebody on your web or Insta, FB, Twitter, have you seen their facial expression? The answer is no. So how do you react? Based on the mechanical assumption which you make about the person, whatever he or she has written, the smileys he or she has made, accordingly you react. So what has happened? Your emotional intelligence, emotional regulation has decreased like anything. You are not able to regulate your emotion or perceive the emotion of the others. And that is why the communication has suffered, especially the NVC, non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is something which makes the verbal communication impactful, powerful, exponential, and meaningful for you. The meaning is interpreted according to the non-verbal gestures, the head nods. Head nods. How a person expresses something that you see only if you are in front of the person. But if you just believe only on the words, what is the problem with the Gen Z, Generation Z, those who are born after 2000. The biggest issue is that they are watching the words. They are not, and see, when you are using your social media, then you don't even control yourself. Like what, in front of a person, when you are speaking something, you understand that this may hurt the person, you will not speak so. But on the social media, you will speak and blurt out whatever you can, because the person is not in front of you. Some things which you don't even intend to, that also you will write. So how the communication has got distorted? You see, AI, artificial intelligence, and once, maybe after a decade or maybe 2 decades, when most of the mechanical work will be delegated to robots, then human beings will be left with only one job: to keep themselves amused, to ensure that creativity is used to keep yourself happy. This is going to happen very soon. This is the dominating perspective. Under that, under the AI, so many things are there: deep learning, neural networks, sometimes they may use machine learning, ML. Who knows about that? NLP, natural language processing. The probability of language being replicated by machines, because as Chomsky says that there are universal basis of your grammar, universal basis of language, and that's why language can be replicated by just feeding the data which is required to produce language. Possible? Yes, quite possible. Natural language processing can be done. Even robots can emote now. Use language as proficiently as human beings do. Possible? Yes, possible. These are the things which are dominating the discipline of psychology. You see, psychology primarily focuses on two aspects. One is the environmental deterministic approach, that is a behavior which can be seen overtly, and the covert mental processes which are happening in your brain. So that means cognition, and cognition can be dominated by replicating the same cognitive process by a machine, like a computer, like a robot, that is AI. Now, the next perspective or next theme which is dominating psychology nowadays in the last decade especially is your mindfulness or mental health. Have you heard of this word, mindfulness? What is mindfulness? Be connected with the time in which you are. That is, be present in the present moment. What happens? If you look at, if you study our cognition, most of the time our cognition is dominated by the past. What happened to us in the past, we have made a memory of it. A memory is there, and on the loop it is churning, running again and again, again and again. Or the future, what will happen, आगे क्या होगा रामा रे, आगे क्या होगा रामा रे, और पीछे क्या हो गया रामा रे. That is what is dominating us. होना क्या चाहिए, what should actually happen is अभी क्या हो रहा है, just focus on that. If you focus on your present, your past already happened, you cannot take care of that, it has happened. Future will be taken care of if you just focus on the present moment, and how that efficiency of present moment can be glorified, can be accentuated, expanded by being efficient. And that efficiency, that energy in the present moment can be brought by your focus. I'll just give you an example, just a simple corollary आप समझते हैं, just expanding the horizon of this psychology discipline into something in real life. Recently, I don't know whether you watch it or not, but I do watch this KFK. What is KFK? Coffee with Karan. However, people may criticize it is Bollywood, this, that, whatsoever. There are lessons which you can take from anywhere. Oh, one of the junior artists, not so junior, this Vicky Kaushal, he was praising SRK, Shahrukh Khan. अब देखो क्या होता है कि वी कैन टेक मोटिवेशन, वी कैन टेक लेसन फ्रॉम एनीवेयर. व्हाट डिड ही से अबाउट दिस पर्सन SRK? Why he is so famous, why even at this age he is so engagingly involved and so charming in his approach? Most people who have met him, they respect him a lot because he will never make you feel so small. If you meet him, he will make you feel as if you are bigger than this person who is actually a superior star, a person who can make. He goes to Germany, you might not be aware about that. Germany, when he lands on the airport, German women are running after him, following him. Men and women, both children even, largely has got huge fan following among women. Shahrukh Khan. What is the secret of it? Secret sauce. हर चीज का secret sauce होता है. This person, when he is talking to you, is completely engrossed in you. 100% focus on you only. 100% focus on that one take, one shot he will give to the movie. That 100% focus separates him from others. And where do you get this? This is also a technique and trick. Some people get it genetically or it can be trained. And that's what I say with the aspirants who are preparing for competitive examinations like your UPSC or other examinations which are equally tougher. There, you cannot be a duffer. The thing is that you have to give your full focus. Study for 4 hours, 6 hours, but with complete focus, unwavering focus. Whatever happens around you is none of your concern. You must be so well organized. What is keeping our efficiency away? Past and present, past and future. So, under the mindfulness, the major theme, the major focus is on what? Mental health. Mental health is very important, and if we talk about the aspirants, especially UPSC or ये 12th के बाद वाले, तो they are so immature, but they are thrown into something which is called a rat race. Even UPSC is also a rat race. If you are not made for the bureaucracy, it's a rat race at the end of the day. तो mental health मेजर फोकस है किसका? साइकोलॉजी का. द मेजर थीम. व्हाट डज मेंटल हेल्थ और माइंडफुलनेस से? देखो, फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट देयर इज कॉल्ड समथिंग कॉल्ड स्ट्रेस. When you are unable to cope with the stress, it turns into anxiety. Nowadays very commonly used, अभी सब लोग यही बोलते हैं एंग्जाइटी हो रहा है, एंग्जाइटी हो रहा है. Why it is this? Why this anxiety? Because you are taking the stress. मतलब देखो, there are something called life stressors. There are life stressors होते हैं. Life stressor क्या है? If till the time you are alive, there will be some or the other problem. अब लोग इसी को इग्नोर करने लगते. There should not be any problem. Nobody on this earth should think of being absolutely free from stress if they are alive. If you are alive, there will be stress. तो लाइफ स्ट्रेसर इसको बोलते हैं. सम पीपल कांट इवन टेक केयर ऑफ दिस लाइफ स्ट्रेसर. So they fall into that stressful situation. Stress बढ़ता चला जाता है, piling up, piling up, piling up, piling up, anxiety. अब ये दोनों phenomenon जो है stress और anxiety मिल करके, especially when you become anxious about the things which you should not be concerned about, then when it becomes your life, then you enter into a zone which is quite common nowadays, which is called depression. अब डिप्रेशन की भी एक कहानी है. व्हाट इज द स्टोरी बिहाइंड डिप्रेशन? One of my well-known friend, now he is a senior IS. This person was going through डिप्रेशन. क्या हुआ? प्रीलिम्स नहीं हुआ लास्ट अटेम्प्ट में, फिर एंजाइटी बढ़ गई, डिप्रेशन हो गया, राइट? अब ये जो डिप्रेशन हो गया, फॉर दिस पर्सन वेंट टू थेरेपी. अब देखो, थेरेपी एक ऐसी चीज है विच सच ए टैबूड वर्ड इन आवर सोसाइटी बिकॉज ऑफ द स्टिग्मा अटैच्ड. स्टिग्मा, व्हाट इज स्टिग्मा? टेल एनीवन दैट आई एम गोइंग थ्रू अ थेरेपी, द पर्सन विल कंसिडर थोड़ा सा वीक है, मेंटली वीक है. इट्स नॉट अबाउट दैट. एज देयर इज फिजिकल problems, as there are physical symptoms, physical issues, physical weakness, likewise there can be mental health issues also, for which if you take an expert suggestion you will be healthy. एक्सपर्ट सजेशन लेंगे तो साइकियाट्रिस्ट के पास चले जाएंगे, नो टैबू इन्वॉल्व देयर. ओके, सो डिप्रेशन. अब डिप्रेशन की कहानी क्या है? आई आस्क्ड दिस पर्सन, तो डिप्रेशन का क्या इशू है? ही सेड दैट सी आई वेंट टू द थेरेपी बट हैव यू सीन एनीबडी, any person who belongs to low socioeconomic status going to a therapist? मिडिल वाले भी थोड़े अपर स्टेटा वाले जाते हैं, हायर वाले तो जाते हैं, हाई इकोनॉमिक स्टेटस वाले तो डेफिनेटली जाते हैं. फॉर एवरी स्मॉल थिंग दे विल गो टू द थेरेपिस्ट. दैट अप्रोच इज ऑल्सो नॉट गुड बट इट्स देयर विश. एवरीबडीज इंडिविजुअलिटी शुड बी रिस्पेक्टेड. तो यहाँ पे क्या हुआ आपका? एंजाइटी हुआ किससे? स्ट्रेस से. और ये टर्न हो गया डिप्रेशन में, डिप्रेस्ड. डिप्रेशन इज अ जोन व्हेन यू एंटर दिस, इट्स वेरी टफ टू कम आउट. और मेंटल हेल्थ पे फोकस जब साइकोलॉजी का है तो क्या बोल रहे हैं आपको? वन थिंग विच आई टोल्ड यू दैट फोकस, अटेंशन, increase, improve the efficiency of your attention, improve your memory. Now memory के साथ थोड़ी कहानी है. there are memory enhancement techniques but memory is a trained phenomenon. कैसे? remember positive memories which makes you happy because your natural state as a human being is to remain happy. Any memory which is causing you sadness, anxiety, stress is actually keeping you off the humanistic perspective of your natural map. ओके, अटेंशन मेमोरी को इंप्रूव कराना है, अटेंशन फोकस को बढ़ाना है, फोकस फोकस, और अपने इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस को बढ़ाना है. दिस इज द मेन थीम अराउंड विच द मेंटल हेल्थ रिवॉल्व्स. और ये सारे लोग तीनों से क्या होगा? अटेंशन, मेमोरी और इमोशनल रेगुलेशन. What actually are we going to achieve? Nothing but psychological well-being. और जब psychological well-being की बात करते हैं ना, when we say that we are focusing on positive psychology, we are focusing on psychological well-being, what actually are we saying? ये वाला approach, positive psychology approach, not the absence of disease. Here it is absence of disease. Here it is presence of happy moments. हैप्पी हॉर्मोन्स, आजकल इतने सारे प्रोग्राम चलते हैं, हैकिंग द हैप्पी हॉर्मोन्स, हाउ टू हैक द हैप्पी हॉर्मोन्स. Hacking the happy hormones is clearly related to going back to your roots. अब going back to roots का क्या मतलब है? Going back to woods. Going back to woods का क्या मतलब? नेचर से जुड़ो, नेचर से. Once you are connected with the nature, with the natural circadian rhythm, everything else will go. Circadian rhythm. As the sun rises, you rise. As the sun sets, you go off to sleep. But not exactly at the same time, but as the darkness prevails, you must rather take rest. Believe those people who say that. I was watching some of the videos made on social media, YouTube, those aspirants who say that preparing for exam 2-3 AM तक पढ़ रहे हैं, किसी के साथ, कुछ लोग तो अभी लाइव भी पढ़ते हैं यूट्यूब पे, और लोगों को भी जोड़ कर रखते हैं. इट्स अ गुड अप्रोच, ठीक है, फॉलो इट. इफ इट गिव्स यू हैप्पीनेस एंड सक्सेस, नो प्रॉब्लम विद दैट. बट लार्जली स्पीकिंग, rather than going through this approach, if you just follow the 8 hour study एंड डोंट फॉलो दिस अप्रोच. 35 लाख की भीड़ देख के तू ऐसे घबराएगा? अरे 35 लाख की भीड़ है ही नहीं यार, दैट्स टोटल नॉनसेंस. 5 लाख 6 लाख जो एग्जाम दे रहे हैं ना, भेड़ बकरी है, टोटल भेड़ बकरी अप्रोच. दीज आर शीप्स. what you are actually focusing, if you just focus on a smart strategy which we suggest, आपका कंपटीशन मे बी 25K 30K है. दिस इज योर कंपटीशन. यू सी दैट क्राउड इन द एरियाज वेयर there is ORN, Mukherjee Nagar, this Nagar, that Nagar, total. You see, in your class also, 220 people in one class. How many are really sincere aspirants? Largely you will see that बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया ना, तो 40, 45, 50 max होगा. इस क्लास से 1/4 बता रहा हूँ, बट इफ यू जस्ट extrapolate it to the larger numbers, 15K 20K students study at one platform, एक ही जगह पे. How many of them do you think really are really sincere? नहीं, करना है, जज्बा है हमारे अंदर, and they have the strategies also, backed by the strategies. इसमें से मुश्किल से 1000 भी नहीं होंगे, and that is true for all the platforms. So कुल मिला के total 25-30K are your competition in the prelim stage. वो सब भीड़ है. But that confidence will come to you when you are absolutely prepared in the right direction, and you keep giving yourself a sense. मैंने साइको साइबरनेटिक्स की बात की थी ना, साइको साइबरनेटिक्स. What does psycho cybernetics tell? That the feedback which you give to your subconscious mind, not conscious mind, subconscious mind को क्या बोलते हो? What you talk to yourself. ईमानदारी से अपने आप को क्या बोलते हो? That I am the best. And you keep showing yourself that you are actually the best. Every passing morning, every day you suggest yourself this. One day will come when you will be actually the best. And leave aside this examination. It's very stupid and silly and very easy examination. You'll become the greatest of the great person. Somebody who will be admired by so many others. If you just follow this, minute improvement, incremental improvement every day. Keep suggesting yourself that yes, I am better than others in this respect. You should have one thing to show every day. All right. So this was your mindfulness second perspective. First one was AI, artificial intelligence, the modern, the recent trends. Third thing is social inclusion. I'm giving you themes. Social inclusion, inclusivity, egalitarian, libertarianism, liberalism. Since LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization, even the developing countries all across the world, they are focusing on this theme. So what we are focusing majorly upon is your prejudices, discrimination, prejudices, then stereotypes, discrimination, leading to discrimination. We'll study that in gender psychology. And from here to what solution क्या है हमारा इसको खत्म करने का? Diversity management, which is there in your chapter of gender psychology. Diversity management, managing the diversity, and as I told you, the inclusivity, inclusive growth और inclusive growth कब आएगा? When we have sustainable development. And for sustainable development, what do you need? ये जो आपके chapters हैं paper 2 में regarding your population psychology, regarding the pollution, noise pollution, crowding, ये सारा उसमें आ जाएगा. इंक्लूसिव थीम में क्या आ जाएगा? इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ में क्या आ जाएगा आपका? इंक्लूसिव में कम्युनिटी साइकोलॉजी, रिहैबिलिटेशन साइकोलॉजी, डाइवर्सिटी मैनेजमेंट, एज आई ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू, अंडर व्हाट? योर जेंडर साइकोलॉजी. सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट, your environmental psychology, how to make your environment better. Ergonomics, why we are talking about ergonomics now more so? To ensure psychological well-being or not. The major focus of modern psychological perspectives are on this psychological well-being under the theme of influence of positive psychology movement. ये चीज हमेशा याद रखना, positive psychology movement. Now psychology is not being used because earlier perspectives were thinking that people are not happy, people are having some or the other disease, so we have to ensure that the disease is not there, reducing the incidence of disease. Now we are focusing upon incidence of happy hormone, positive psychology. Cool. So these are the major themes around which the themes of psychology, the perspective of psychology revolves. All right. One thing which is asked apart from this, which you might be a bit confused about, is your cognitive neuroscience. But the nomenclature. The nomenclature makes it a bit complex, but there is nothing rocket science here. Neuroscience, the science of the neurons, as I told you in the biological perspective. Neuroscience is used to define, predict and control the cognition. कैसे होगा? वही same electroencephalography, PET, CAT scan, to understand the brain functions, to understand the cognitive processes by using the neuroimaging techniques, the science of neurons, cognitive neuroscience. Cognition being defined by the scientific approach of studying neurons, how neurons affect our behavior, how neurons affect our emotions, how neurons affect our thinking ability, problem solving, decision making, intelligence, the perception also, because perception is plastic. We'll study about this, plasticity of perception. And based on this theory of plasticity of perception is one of the most remarkable revolutionary concept that our body heals itself. Our body, our body heals itself through the plasticity of your perception, and that is dominated by the replacement of neurons. How neurons behave is defined by how stressed you are. In a study in Harvard, it was found that those people who are stressed fall ill or sick more often than those who are largely happy. How can you be happy? आपने पढ़ा है इमोशन में फेशियल फीडबैक थ्योरी. What is facial feedback? Even if you mimic that you are happy, just keep your smiling demeanor, smiling gesture. Even that gives your mind a suggestion that you are happy. Once you give your mind your suggestion, the body cannot differentiate between a suggestion coming from a fake facial expression and a real facial expression. You label it as I am happy. Once you believe that you are happy, the hormones, the neurons get regulated accordingly. And as I told you, there is stress hormone, cortisol. यहाँ पे क्या रिलीज हो रहा है? डोपामिन, happy hormone. In place of cortisol, dopamine is there. Dopamine is making you happy. This cortisol is the reason of many of the lifestyle diseases as well. Blood pressure, sugar. You will see the people who are not able to control the environmental stressors, control the life stressors, who are not able to manage their lifestyle so that they cope up with the stress in the right manner. This is stress coping का देखो तरीका क्या है? What is the stress coping way? And this will all be used in psychology answer writing. As I have told you earlier also, PFC. What is the problem? Define it objectively. Write it down. Then use your emotions to focus on the coping of the problem. EFC, emotion focused. Emotion should be regulated to channelize your energy to counter the problem, not to think about the problem. Our overthinking about the problem makes it appear huge. What is happening here in UPSC case? A simple guy coming from a hinterland, विलेज से आया हुआ आदमी, वो देख रहा है ये यूपीएससी का एग्जाम है, ये सिलेबस है, ओके, ये कहाँ से पढ़ना, वो कहाँ से पढ़ना, समझ गया, अपना बिंदास पढ़ा वड़ा 20 रैंक ले आया फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट. सिंप्लिसिटी. Here what is happening? माइक्रो मैनेजिंग, माइक्रो एनालिसिस, बिल्कुल डीप लेवल तक एनालिसिस हो रहा है. बच्चा परेशान, खत्म. 4 अटेम्प्ट 5 अटेम्प्ट ऐसे निकल गए, खटाखट खटाखट. Because the suggestion which you have given to your mind is very complex, very complex. क्या करें, क्या करें? And rather than that, if you analyze it in a rather emotionally detached and efficient way, you'll be able to find a solution with simplicity. Made like social media now, most problems are arising social media. Social media, somebody who takes an interview from a particular coaching institution is also a teacher in DU. Now, social media, million follower. Why? Because people are not able to aware, they are not aware what they are following. Are they following the person's appearance? जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. Appearance. You are suggesting yourself, you are not so sufficient, this guy is better. this examination glorifying everybody. Somebody got a good rank, 110 rank, वो सोशल मीडिया पे डेली रील बन रहे हैं. Don't eulogize it. इतना बड़ा नहीं बनाओ. Make it simple. Keep it simple. Life is also simple. This examination is very simple. If you just look at it from that angle, just follow your discipline, follow a strategy, because without strategy nothing will happen. What happens with most of the aspirants? They come to Delhi or they are at home without thinking anything. They will join one platform. Whatever is being done, it's being done by the platform, by the teachers. They are running the show, but are you running your own show? Are you able to do the self-pacing, studying according to the design of the examination? Have you gone through the syllabus? Have you seen the previous year question papers? The answer is no. If you don't go through all these things, your preparation will be so lackluster that you won't be able to clear it in 3-4 attempts. That's the sad story happening. It is not about the volume of the information. It's only about what to study, what to leave. That people don't know the direction. And I'm telling you from the experience of the aspirants who have joined big platforms, mammoth expenditure. After that, they are saying we don't know the direction. You know why? Because they have never been told. So be a smart person. Don't waste your youthful years, because that will not come back to you, unfortunately. Okay, so we have done your major things: mainstream, social constructionism, the dominating perspectives of psychology, the recent trends we have done. Now, there is a very small topic which you know, but I'll just repeat. The contribution of Galton, Sir Francis Galton. Galton was a polymath. What is polymath? A person who is an expert in many disciplines. He knew statistics, he knew psychology, he knew many other disciplines. Biology also, of course. He gave birth to what? Contribution. Eugenics. Controversial concept where he said that people should breed selectively. The intelligent people should breed with intelligent people to give birth to intelligent people, so that the overall IQ of the human race will increase. He didn't bother about those who have lesser IQ. What to do about that? He was the person who gave birth to this theme: genes versus environment. And he primarily believed that genes dominate most of our traits. Traits like intelligence are dominated by genes. He was of the firm believer that heredity defines everything. That's why he said that the breeding should also be selective. Don't let fools breed. Fools should not even breed. So disgusting. Okay, then comes your major contribution in the field of statistics and psychology, especially, is your correlation and regression. Correlation and regression. What are these things? When two variables co-vary. What is co-varying? Suppose this is IQ, this is your creativity. We plotted a data for so many people, for 100 people. Their IQ, this is Sohan's IQ, this is Sohan's creativity. This is Mohan's IQ, this is Mohan's creativity. This way we plotted so many points came. This is Sohan's IQ, this is Sohan's creativity. Mohan's IQ, Mohan's creativity. Rohan's IQ, Rohan's creativity. Likewise, all this is called scatter plot, scattered plot. Now we see that there is some relation correlated, IQ and creativity are correlated. When we do a summary of the plot, summary, what is summary? Summary is an average. Summarize the plot. How? This is the plot. This straight line can give us an idea that if we know the IQ of one person, what will be the creativity of that person? If it lies on this line, what will be the creativity if your IQ is this? Or if you know the creativity of the person, what will be the IQ? If one variable is known, what is the quantity of others? Because in correlation, what is being given? Direction. It is positive. With as the IQ increases, creativity increases. You see this plot. This is IQ. This is your creativity. If we get this line, then as the IQ increases, creativity also increases. This is positive. This is the direction. What is the strength? How strongly are they correlated? As we can see the straight line, the slope of the line, we can say that it is largely strong. Positive correlation, strong correlation. That much we have got. But what is the idea about the quantity? If we know the IQ of a person, can we estimate the creativity of the person? Do we have a formula? When that formula is given, can we have such kind of a formula? This is called regression. These are correlation and regression that we'll study again as well. Correlation, regression. So, apart from regression and correlation, Galton also gave tools like survey, and questionnaires, the tools generated by Sir Francis Galton to ease our data collection. What is data collection? If we want a person's attitude towards widow remarriage, we'll do a survey, electronic survey or physical survey. We'll ask them a question. Their attitude, belief, opinion will be recorded. That is data collection. Then, apart from this, what all Francis Galton gave was the concept of mental age. Which will give us the ratio IQ. What is ratio IQ? Later on, ratio IQ was not found by Galton, but the formula of ratio IQ came from here only. Ratio IQ is your mental age upon chronological age into 100. Mental age is age of a person according to the mental caliber of the person. Suppose a person is a boy is of 15 years age, but his mental age is 18. So IQ, the ratio IQ which we calculate here is your it is 120. IQ is 120. This gives us the ratio IQ. But ratio IQ was not able to give us any idea about what is the comparison of two people, or a generic idea of how intelligent is the person if we compare it to the common masses. So for that came deviation IQ. This is your average IQ. How many standard deviation away is the person of a particular IQ? So a person of 115 IQ is one standard deviation away from the common population. Okay, so after this, what Galton, as we have understood through our discussion, is that Galton was a firm believer of what? Evolutionary psychology, evolutionary perspective. Largely, the people who believe on genes and heredity are following this perspective only. How the human race have evolved? The human race have evolved racial supremacy. If there is a racial supremacy of the Britishers, then they will be found to be more intelligent because their race itself is more intelligent. So in the heredity flows that intelligence, evolutionary perspective. These are the prime contributions of Galton, Sir Francis Galton. Now we'll come to one small topic. After that, the introduction chapter will be over. Application of psychology in solving societal problems. This is mentioned in your syllabus and it has been asked so many times. Now suppose this time in 2023 they asked a question that how will you use the knowledge of psychology in addressing the problem of what? Your any of your relatives, God forbid, that unfortunate thing should not happen with anybody's family, is undergoing chemotherapy. What knowledge of psychology you will use here? Now, majorly what you have to know, understand is psychology is using what? Evidence based intervention. So you know the person going through the chemotherapy is having a stress of one or the other way. How to cope up with the stress? There is a formula. Problem focused coping. You will sit with the person, understand the emotions of the person, emotional intelligence, accordingly address the issues and then give a routine to the person to follow so that the problem gets addressed. Scientific analysis, diagnosis of the problem done scientifically, then the suggestion also given scientifically. Then second thing, here the discipline of psychology focuses on individualistic approach. So a person from Europe undergoing chemotherapy and an Indian undergoing chemotherapy, a woman undergoing chemotherapy and a man undergoing chemotherapy in different ages are different. So individualistic approach will be followed. They will respect the individual differences between Sonali Bendre, who got cancer, and Kiran Kher. They are coming from different psychological makeup. So they will not treat these two people as same, one and the same. Individualistic approach. Individual difference being respected. And that is why it makes it more and more efficient. Then psychology has in its bag the minute disciplines like community psychology, rehabilitation psychology. So not only the diagnosis or implementation, but complete rehab of the person, integration of the person to his or her original state into the society is our focus through rehabilitation and community psychology. So basically, if we look at psychology's application in solving the societal problems, when we study about the paper 2, P2, we'll be actually studying this topic only in the paper 2, everything, whatever. So whatever a specific milieu, a specific question from chemotherapy or noise pollution or environmental degradation, whatever it may be, you just need to give a brief idea in the introduction that this is the problem. The approach will remain same for all the problems. What is happening unfortunately is that nowadays many of the sincere aspirants themselves don't clear prelims, and those who reach into the main examination, if they have maintained a structured answer, giving a good understanding of the concept and maintaining the flow in most of the answer, even then they score well. If you do a bit extra, which we are doing till now, you will win a top notch. So with this we'll end today's lecture. We'll continue with the other chapters of the same block through our PTQ approach itself. Prepare through questions. Thank you very much for joining. Have a very good day.